My name's Green Sheep. I've had a earthquake. And welcome to Trash Talk.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Trash Talk. I am your host, Dick Almighty. You're going to find out why we decided to open with that song. We had to, I don't know, like with all this talk about safe spaces, I think it's important just to puncture the hymen of respectability in your minds from time to time with a blast from the past, back when things were a lot simpler. With me as always, we have of course got my producer, Sam. How are you doing, Sam?
Great, mate. Great as always. I'm ready for another show.
You fucking really aren't selling it to me, Bruno.
No,
I'm
looking forward to the videos you have to show, mate. We have some good videos today.
Well, we do, but look, I think I understand why you're a bit down and a bit depressed.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it as well. Another reason why the show is called Dick Almighty. It's not just about me. Of course, there was another man with an almighty dick out there, and of course, it's had some rather sad repercussions. It was today that I woke up to the sad news that Charlie Sheen, one of my favourite celebrities, has announced that he's HIV positive, Sam.
Indeed, I did see. Shocking moment.
Well, how are you coping with it?
Not too well, mate. Obviously, he's a hero of mine, hero of us all. So.
I'll tell you a story about Charlie Sheen. This is absolutely true. You can Google this and verify it. He used to spend a lot of time in brothels, obviously, having sex with various women, and he was nicknamed Charlie the Machine. Right, that's what they used to call him because he could just fuck so many in a row. Now he has a tattoo on his chest, and do you know what it says?
No.
Back in 15 minutes. How fucking baller is that? How fucking baller is that? So I'm really upset, obviously, that it came to him having HIV. But the good news is his immune system is in pretty good nick, and the doctors are treating it apparently, and he's been aware of it for a while. But anyway, let's just take a look. This is how I want to remember Charlie Sheen when it comes to lovemaking. I'm not bailing you out, Sam. I'm not bailing you out. What has that got to do with anything? That isn't even the right clip. What's that got to do with Charlie Sheen's dick? Right, that is not the clip we agreed on.
Yeah, you fucked up the queue order, mate. You fucked up the order. You can't just last minute switch, mate.
The order.
You did. You fucked the numbers, mate. Oh.
I haven't. What has that trumpet song got to do with Charlie Sheen? You fucking head. You shithead. Right.
Oh, it's right. So good, but.
That's not how I want to remember Charlie Sheen's dick, is it? That's not what. Some sad fucking trumpet. Oh, wedding.
Oh, mate.
Right, can we try that again?
Yeah.
Can we try that again?
Hang on.
Are you ready? Are you all right? Have you
composed? Can't see, mate. Oh. Right, round two, mate.
Right, try that again.
Yeah.
So this is how I like to. This is how I like to remember Charlie Sheen when it comes to lovemaking.
Alright, I'll do it this time, mate. In that rap,
Do I have to fucking go and hire a chip?
No, wait. Well, just need to rap one more time. Okay. No, I'm ready now, mate. Cue it in.
Let's do it then. You want me to cue it in, yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready now, mate.
Right. This is how I like to remember Charlie Sheen when it comes to lovemaking. It's not even that funny now. But anyway. So there we go. Now, who knew that you could catch a disease doing things like that in the bedroom?
I think the trumpets rounded it up better.
Well, where the trumpets were coming in was that I was going to say the news about Charlie Sheen getting HIV made me almost as sad as this trumpet player at this wedding. Right. Now, you know what I love about that fucking video, right? There's so many good things about it, right? That literally. So here's the first thing. I mean, apart from the fact, like, just how bad he is. But listen, though, listen. What's going through his head? It's like, okay, I'm 15 seconds into the song. I haven't hit a single note that's actually in the song, but I'm just going to keep going. I'll get there eventually. You know what I mean? He's thinking to himself, right, it's bad. It's bad. I can fix this. I can get better, and he just keeps on going. At what point would you just stop? Right, at what point would you just stop? Then, I think my personal favorite bit is at the end, where obviously everyone's horrified by what's happened, and one woman in the crowd goes, "Amen," like as if she didn't notice how fucking shit it was. Jesus Christ,
me, mate. Spark me.
Right. Anyway, let's talk about the fucking show, the actual show that we're here to do.
The show, mate. Let's be real.
Yeah. Doesn't
get better from here, mate. It's all downhill.
You're out. So anyway, I mean, just before we get into the esports stuff, some of you might have picked up on some drama that I'm involved in, which is a bit weird, like completely fucking surreal. I haven't been involved in any sort of drama for a while. I think everybody's realized that, like, no matter how hard you try and fuck me, no matter what you do, no matter who you complain to, I'm not gonna like stop tweeting abuse at people who deserve to be abused. Like, it's just as simple as that. If you're an idiot and you come to me and you say stupid things and you're abusive to me, you're gonna get it back in spades. You know, you're gonna get. I'm gonna show you the same sort of respect that you show me, and that's fine. But anyway, recently I got asked to be on these Game Awards, which is they've branched out into esports, and I had to act in an advisory capacity. Now, what's the problem? I'm an esports journalist, probably is the most long-standing one, currently active in the scene. I have the requisite levels of experience, and all I had to do was just basically say, I think you should nominate these 5 people. I think these 5 people would be good for this category. This game would be good for this category. That was it, really. No drama, no oppression. I didn't oppress anybody.
But you are a cis white male, mate, so there's always
well, there is that. Apparently, I didn't realize this, but the moment I agreed to write for Breitbart, and let's be clear here, I did agree to write for Breitbart. I left the Daily Dot of my own free will. I certainly wasn't fired. I don't know why I would have been. I think I broke some of the biggest stories their esports section has seen, and probably generated some of the best traffic, and definitely gave that new esports section a bit of legitimacy, if I do say so myself. I don't think I'm being necessarily arrogant in saying that. I think that's a fair comment. Now, what I didn't realize was that because Breitbart would be named as my employer on the list of nominees, it would generate this bizarre backlash, which came from an individual I'm sure some people will have known, called Brianna Wu. Now, I would be willing to agree with the backlash here, because apparently only 1 out of the 32 panelists are women, which seems to be a bit weird.
Which is bad. Which is not correct.
I think they probably could have tried a bit harder there, actually. And certainly there are people out there that would be suitable. I don't know if anyone has my levels of experience in esports, but there might be. I mean, Rachel Quirico might have been a good shout for the esports section. But certainly there appears to have been a conflation of two very separate ideas, and that is, oh my God, we hate Breitbart because they're shitlords. We don't want them on the panel. And Richard Lewis is the esports journalist guy on the panel, so let's try and remove him. So I got into this really fucking weird situation where Brianna Wu tweeted about me, and apparently a few of her disciples or followers were going to try and get me thrown off the panel by messaging the awards hosts, which just seems so bizarre. I mean, again, I don't even do anything. This is like just an email.
Yeah.
Who do you think should be nominated? And then, who do you think should win? That's it. That's like, they don't represent me. I don't represent them.
Yeah.
We're not working with each other. No money's changing hands. Did seem a bit strange. And just to give you all an idea about, Brianna Wu and the kind of thing she's capable of, here's a video that, just in case you haven't seen what she does in her spare time. This is when she went to a panel. She was speaking there, again, the classic thing, female games developers, the evil of Gamergate. And she actually had a journalist removed for taking a photograph of the panel of which she was on and tweeting it. And you can see that for yourself here.
Are you the person who took this photo? Okay, so we need this person taking me out of here right now.
Okay, yeah, which man?
Get out.
Did I break a rule? Just leave this call, or? Yeah, just leave it. You're not leaving the convention. Just this? Okay, yes. That's fine. Thank you.
Can you please make sure he's permanently kicked out of this convention, please?
You want him out of the convention?
He needs to get going permanently out of the convention. You need security to follow that person.
What do you do?
This is Ralph This person's doxing my family. This is Ralph Ford. He's taking pictures without my permission.
I can't leave.
If you're not going to get out, I can't speak.
Where is he? He just walked out. Okay, he's out the door. He's out of here. We cannot go down to the bus.
He just took pictures of me without my permission. I have to show him. Excuse me, sir.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a quick question. I need everyone, please, there will be no recording of this at all. Please, no.
So obviously she's got previous with this sort of thing, and indeed all of the social justice warrior types have. Now, I've never really been in their crosshairs before, not like this, I remember when the Zoe Quinn story kind of first broke. We were doing Unfiltered at the time. There was a few nasty negative comments, but since joining Breitbart, I've been absolutely hammered. People are calling me a Nazi, a white power sympathizer,
All true.
a garbage. What's that?
All true,
yeah, all true, of course. But obviously, people who know me and know my work, they know that's not my, kind of raison d'etre at all. That's not my personal brand of politics whatsoever. In fact, I'm very reluctantly aligned with the right wing on this particular issue because they appear to be the party of free speech now, or rather the group of people that are wanting to preserve, free speech and First Amendment rights and this kind of thing. So I thought, well, it'll end there. There's no chance that this will blow up. Well, they have their subreddit, which is called Gamergate. Now, fortunately, it's very small, this particular subreddit. And there was a thread on there, which was entitled, and hopefully you can bring this up, Sam. It said, so the Games Awards Esports Advisory Panel includes a Breitbart writer that hates Riot. Well, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with that assessment. I'm not a big fan of Riot. I think that, although hate is a strong word, and to hate a company would be somewhat unhinged. I can certainly dislike a corporate dictate or whatever, But anyway, and in it they're talking about how I accurately reported how social justice warrior types had uploaded child porn to Slimger, and apparently because I can't identify who individually did it, I can't ascertain that they're social justice warriors, even though it's a fair postulation. If you read the article, it happened after an AMA and stuff. So they point to that. And then this is the best bit. Right down here, they said this guy, completely unprovoked, and again, I'll send you the link here, Sam. This guy, completely unprovoked, said that this person was a pleb and told them to fuck off. And then they show all these tweets to show how unreasonable I am. Well, of course, what they missed out was the initial tweet, which is there for you now, and that was them basically saying I'm too stupid to understand academia or scientific study, which of course isn't true. I went to university, so I was really perplexed about this. And it, more and more this is building. Apparently, they've already been sort of sending a few emails and whatnot to the people that are running these award ceremonies in a bid to have me removed, which is just really, really startling. So we might be in the firing line now, Sam.
So?
Yeah, it's good to know. I'd watch yourself. I mean, what I will say is, they do have a point. We've actually got a video of a scientific study that has been conducted, and it shows what happens when the average gamer is exposed to pure Gamergate. You can see here.
And now, you will feel better.
Olympic! Doctor, he seems to be getting worse instead of better. Stealing through my body. Creeping through my veins, pouring in my blood. Oh, darts of fire in my brain, stabbing me. Agony. I can't stand this torture, this torment. I can't stand it. I won't. I won't.
What was in that hypo?
So there we go. Having watched that video in its entirety and more disturbing footage like it, I'd like to publicly renounce my support for Gamergate. It's obviously all about misogyny and the harassment and stealing, or indeed, of women. It's about the endorsement of rape culture, which is completely real and not imagined. And obviously, we need to move forward to a better society where men are neutered by default and all shitlords are put in prison for having dissenting opinions. I think that should do it, Sam.
Sounds like
I think
utopia, mate. Sounds great.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does. Indeed. With that in mind, I will drink to that. So, we will now talk about esports. It is an esports show. We like to have our fun. But of course, you know, there's big things happening in the world, and we can't ignore them. So, I got it wrong. Cloud9 actually won the iBuyPower Invitational, beating Team Liquid in the final. I thought they were going to have a bad time and that Luminosity was going to win. You'll remember, of course, Moses came on to the last episode of Trash Talk and gave his predictions, and he agreed with me. Well, both of us are left with egg on our face. Maybe you're a Cloud9 fan and you would like to talk about whether or not you think this will be an ongoing resurgence. Interesting point of information. Apparently, at this event, nothing was actually calling. So, anyway, Team Dignitas have finalized their roster. This is obviously for the LCS in League of Legends. They bring in what is described as Jacob Wolf by 2 rookies and a veteran. I don't know why this was a cause of consternation. I think anybody that doesn't have LCS experience, I think it's fair to describe them as a rookie. But it's going to be Smitty J, Karai, Shifter, Apollo, and Kiwi Kid. Kiwi Kid just keeps clinging on to a career. A lot of people have said this is an underwhelming Team Dignitas lineup, but of course there is always that potential for a rookie to come out of nowhere, like Huhi over at Fnatic. I don't think anybody was blown away by that pickup, and of course we all know how that one turned out. So maybe you're a Dignitas fan. I'm sure Odie will be lurking in the chat a little bit later. We had Unicorns of Love. They've been having roster issues as well. Since their, I believe it was their mid laner stood down to go and potentially replace. Sorry, it's a support and a top laner. Sorry, wrong team. But they managed to assemble their team just in time for the Intel Extreme Masters, and they're going to bring in Fox. Oh yeah, sorry, Fox is moving into the mid lane. Gilius is going to be in there, and former Fnatic and Team Imagine AD carry. Steelback's going to be playing as well, and added to them is going to be Vizichachi, who I can never say, and Hylasang. So there you go. Yeah, thank you. I'm terrible with these pronunciations. Obviously, if you're a Unicorns of Love fan and you want to talk about how you think you're going to get on at that IEM, definitely call in. And obviously, as well, we've had a little bit of drama. Which is the big League of Legends story and the one that I'm most interested in. And that is that the NRG group, aka Sacramento Kings, they have now bought into the LCS. So I'm intrigued by all of this and what it means. So NRG Esports are coming in a big way. And it's the Coast team that have been kind of fucked over a little bit here. So for those that didn't see this news story, basically what's happened is NRG have bought the LCS spot from Coast, and all of the players that effectively got Coast there have just been fucked out of the league, just like that. They've been told that they only need to retain 1 player, I believe is the rule.
I thought it was 3/5.
It's 3/5, but I think it's you only have to have 1 player actively playing.
All right. Okay.
So the rest
1 on the active roster. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that this all came tumbling out in the Reddit thread.
So basically, get wrecked.
Yeah, basically the point is that you can earn a spot, earn the opportunity to compete at the highest level. And basically, as soon as a big money bags owner comes in, you can all get fucked. There doesn't seem to be a lot of protections in place here. Now, I'll be honest. Obviously, I'm a big critic of Riot, but I don't really see what they can do here. Like you are effectively relying, unless you bring in some really egregious rules. Because let's say you do buy a slot and you're like, fucking hell, these players are shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I've just spent $1 million on this slot, and now I've got these dog shit players. I'm just gonna get insta relegated.
Yeah. So I mean that's a problem as well.
Yeah.
So and actually, I mean, there's a lot of people as well trying to argue that the 3/5 rule doesn't apply to NRG because they're buying the slot, not investing the team directly, so they can. So once again, the coast players are kind of automatically relegated.
Right, I guess,
so it's this huge, so it's this huge confusing issue. But so it totally depends which way it's going to go, and I imagine that Riot Games will have to intervene and give some clarity about this. But ultimately, I got to be honest, I do feel some sympathy for the players, even if it was arguable that they weren't up to the LCS standard. I think it's huge for their careers that they get an opportunity to compete in the league that they earned their way into. Now, a lot of people contrary that they say, oh well, it wouldn't work like that in real sports. The team that gets promoted from Division 1 isn't the team that you field day one of the Premier League. But the difference is those players have huge amounts of money that being a sub isn't a big deal. Being a substitute isn't that big a deal because obviously you're being compensated for it. A lot of these organizations don't do that, and certainly we all know the salary of a professional League of Legends player is pretty poor. But on top of that, you've also got that teams will look to sell you. It's actually in their interests to do it. If you're not playing and you want out of the club, they'll facilitate a move for you in a lot of cases. And again, that doesn't happen. In fact, a lot of organizations are very greedy and go around actively signing up players and then have them on these contracts and basically use them like assets to sell at a later date. It's like money in the bank, which I can't say I'm a big fan of. Sam, do you have any opinions on this one?
I think people are calling for the rule to just be completely in place. You can't change the team, but that's way too ridiculous. Because imagine if you're a team owner, like we just said, and you just get a dog shit team, you can't change players. It's ridiculous. One thing I thought was maybe the 5 players who qualified are the people who receive the LCS salary. So no matter what, they get the 12.5k for that split. Maybe that would help, but then you're still not getting any exposure. So you're still getting fucked. You might be getting paid, but you're still getting wrecked in terms of like getting another team. So I don't know.
So I don't know. It seems to me a real difficult situation for everyone involved, and I include Riot in this. Rather than get on the shameless sort of Riot hate, I mean, I guess if I wanted to do that, if I did want to do that, I could certainly say, well, why they claim to be all about the players, they claim to care about player protections. So why haven't they got these player protections in place by now? We're entering into season 6. Of their game, and of course, obviously they've had less LCS seasons, but still long enough that this problem's come up time and time again. It's not like the coast issue is the first time it's ever come up. So I'm definitely going to monitor this one with interest because I think Riot will need to step in and clarify this situation once and for all. Now, where it gets really interesting is people will remember a report that I put out not that long ago where basically it was internal team owners and sources saying they've been invited, Challenger Series especially, had been invited to meetings where they were talking about restructuring LCS and trying to figure out how it would work better for everyone. And one of the things they said there is that they welcome these big wealthy owners because it's good for business, it's good for stability. There's never going to be any financial problems. The money's always going to be there. And actually Riot is saying we welcome these big wealthy team owners and team organizers coming in. So if that's the case, then maybe this is a situation that's going to happen time and time again. And so they really need to be clear about what the best way to serve the players is. Anyway, with all that said, let's get into some calls, I think. So do we have anyone good to start off the show, Sam?
Yeah, we're going to start with Durba. He wants to talk about... He had more notes, but the TLDR is the Riot study, monetization for CSGO, specifically pay-per-view.
Well, bring Derber on. And I'll just talk about this. So I forgot to mention this. Sam, if you can just bring I know you're doing two things at once. You're like a one-armed weightlifter with crabs. But Derber, yeah, if you just hang in the background there, brother. I'm just going to bring this up because I totally forgot to mention this. So it'll cue you nicely. So I did a report a few days ago. It was on the 14th, 3 days ago, where basically we finally found out what all those creepy surveys were about. They were follow-on research from a study that was published by Jeffrey Light Lynn, basically all about using player names and what it meant within terms of toxicity. Now, this scientific study was called "What's in a Name? Ages and Names. Ages and Names Predict the Balance of Social Interactions in a Massive Online Game." Now, basically, it's really boring. It tells you stuff you already know, which is, for example, if you're young, you're more likely to act immature. Color me surprised. If you have an offensive username, you're more likely to say something offensive in game. Well, ooh my me. And then they used a sample size of about 2,000 people to extrapolate some fairly terrifying and concerning things. The first is that despite having said they weren't interested in ascertaining anything about players' mental health, when I interviewed Light about those surveys, he said this was nothing to do with mental health. The study says it is intriguing to ask if other clinical psychiatric disorders, this is an exact quote, clinical psychiatric disorders such as autism, sociopathy, or addictive personality traits might be evident in these types of data. And then they ended the study by saying, we are currently investigating the possibility that reinforcing altruistic strategies within a game environment will condition players to modify their antisocial behavior in their day-to-day life. So in other words, if we can fuck with you in game and put all these stupid hoops for you to jump through, it might make you a better person in real life. And what I'm amazed by is that when I broke this story, there were people out there who were so cuckolded by Riot that they actually believe that this is a good thing, that they believe this is an acceptable thing, that you being a guinea pig for Jeffrey Light Lynn is actually acceptable. And they even said, hey, you agree to be in our research when you play our game. Look at the small print. And people are agreeing with this. People are saying, what is the problem with doing studies on your player base and wanting to further look to see how you can make them dance like puppets in their real lives with certain stimuli? Anyway, Derb, I think I've painted the picture brilliantly. How are you doing, and what would you like to talk about?
Yeah, hi. So I'm doing okay. A bit nervous, like always, but
that's all right, brother. You're gonna get through, no problem.
You actually kind of broke the ice with your rant right now, so I think I'll be
Awesome.
all right.
Good.
Basically, what I wanted to do was, first of all, I wanted to talk about the Riot study because I actually took the time and went through it a bit. And I also wanted to talk, in the end, if there's a bit time, about monetization in CSGO in relation to something you mentioned a few trash talk. In relation to something you mentioned a bit earlier, in an earlier trash talk about pay-per-view and such, because I'm not sure how viable that will actually be, but we'll get to that later.
Well, let's start with this study then. So you went through it all. First of all, could you find anything in the small print anywhere?
I didn't find anything all too suspicious. I mean, the study is pretty straightforward. I also went through the data science and basically what the study actually says, and so far it seems fine to me. Your concern about the size of the sample is a bit too. It's not proper. I think the data size is actually pretty good. I mean, maybe. I'd be willing to agree. It's not my area of expertise. I can say give you an example, I thought it was interesting that they. Yeah, sorry, go on. There's a famous example for German people such as myself, because whenever they do a survey on the Sunday question, which is the question, if on the Sunday there were elections for the parliament, who would you vote for? They generally ask 1,000 people. And that's statistically significant enough for a 95% accuracy. So there's a good rule of thumb for you.
Should I be worried then, Derb, that they actually had over 1,000 false positives?
You should be.
For the
You should
way
be.
that,
I was
right,
going to
okay.
mention that. I was going to mention that because that's something that stood out to me as well. So just to go through it a bit, the first thing that I wanted to talk about as a German is the thing you mentioned, that they had it in the terms of service that you agree to this research. Because if I know German law correctly, you can't agree to that within terms of service. Terms of service in German law have a special term for them, which is allgemeine Geschäftsbedingungen. Geschäftsbedingungen translates as terms of service. Allgemein means general, so general terms of service. And general terms of service have special protection under German law. You can't sign away your rights within general terms of service, which is, for example, why you can't, why ULAs aren't legally binding within Germany. We actually had rulings on this one. I asked Anna Baumann on Twitter about it because she knows better than me whether or not I should be. Whether or not I should be concerned about this. So far, she hasn't responded back, but because she's moving, I think she said. I don't know. I'll get back to her because this is actually something that interests me. Mm-hmm. But on the positive side of it all, they didn't actually use any of the German data, so they might actually be on the safe side, even though I dispute it since they passed on the data. So.
Yeah, my understanding was the age, was it the average age? That came from everywhere, but the username data came from NA, is that correct?
I'm not sure. I think they... no. The way I read it was they only used NA data.
Okay. Well,
so that adds another caveat to the whole study. But basically, what I wanted to get at was that worst case scenarios, Riot actually did something illegal here. If this turns if this turns out to be true, then German people who had their data picked in this fashion might actually have a legal standing in challenging Riot and their terms of service in this respect. And worst case scenario, best case scenario, it's ethically sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more likely that the route we would need to go down. I can't imagine a company as big as Riot making elementary legal mistakes. Certainly, they seem to have a very tight lid on matters when it comes to anything legal, even to the point of, they forbid the staff to speak to the press and things like that without obtaining the appropriate level of clearance. And it needs to be all agreed in advance, and more often than not, they'll ask to see the questions in advance. Think about Mark Merrill when he did his hard-hitting interview with Travis Gaffin, for example.
So, you're right.
They seem to have a good handle on things legally. So I think it's the ethics that more trouble me. And I don't know about you, but if you'd said to me, well, okay, here's a game, it's free to play, it's fun, or your friends are playing it, it's the most popular PC game in the world in terms of numbers, and it has a thriving esports scene, artificially so, but regardless. Would you be willing, as the cost of playing this game, to be against your knowledge, will, always potentially participating in studies about personalities and perhaps even how we can implement behavioral matrices to make people behave differently in real life? I don't think I would ever have agreed to have support that. It sounds insane to me that a games development
You probably didn't. I went through the study, and what I found too was something interesting, which is that they only polled users that were created after November 1st, 2012, which means, which I suspect means that they changed the terms of service at that point, right, to include that point. It's a suspicion. I don't know for sure, but it's an interesting question that arose for me. And
hang on, let me just quickly check something. Actually, so sorry, what date was that?
It's on page 2 of the study. I hope I can find it. June 13. All accounts in the dataset had been created after November 1st, 2012.
Right. So, interestingly enough, this is according to his own LinkedIn page. Jeffrey Light Lin moved to being the lead game designer of social systems and the head of the player behavior team in October 2012.
Interesting coincidence.
Yeah, so as coincidences go,
Yeah.
that is an interesting one. Almost as if it was just this one guy's insane drive and crusade.
One might almost think that there's some sort of correlation there. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Far be it from me to suggest there might be some sort of overlap here. But anyway, I mean, I guess getting back to the point, you're an intelligent and articulate individual. A lot of people have messaged me on Twitter saying that it's laughable that I would have any concerns about this. Yet, you sound to me that you would be at least moderately concerned. Is that accurate? And if so, why?
I'm not just moderately concerned. I'm pretty concerned because why the fuck? What the fuck does a games company have? What sort of business does a games company have in doing this? Why would a games company even do this research? And frankly, going back to the German standpoint on it all, there's a reason why Germany forbids this sort of thing. It's we have a bit of troubled history with data collection, mass surveillance. People who might not know that in the former German Democratic Republic, we had the whole Stasi thing. So
I was going to say the Stasi, of course. Yes.
Yeah, and we have a bit of bad history there, so we're a bit more worried about this sort of thing. And frankly, if you read 1984, you should be worried about this sort of thing because it indicates that they are trying to manipulate who you are by putting shit into games and stuff, which is that's some conspiracy level bullshit if you ask me. It's frankly insane.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, how do you feel? There was a report. This was in The Verge, and I often make reference to this. But it was an interview with Light, talking about what he was doing. Mm-hmm. The Verge report. This was in March this year. It's called "How League of Legends Could Make the Internet a Better Place," which is right. Okay, so it starts out moderately terrifying. Again, Sam, if you want to bring this up on screen while I talk about it, feel free. And if you scroll right down to the bottom of this article, you will see it says, of course, the problem of online abuse and harassment extends far beyond League. Similar problems can be found in other games, social networks, or pretty much anywhere else where people gather on the internet, almost as if it was perfectly normal behavior. So even though all of this work has made League a better game overall, Lynn believes that it could also help out the online world as a whole. Quote, "We realize that if we really want to improve these online interactions, we have to go beyond League of Legends," he says. "We're not alone in this space. To that end, Riot has been meeting with other games developers, internet companies, and even schools to share data and best practices." I think that is absolutely terrifying. I've said this multiple times.
It's worrying to say the least. It's basically modifying human behavior on a very basic level, or the attempt to. It sounds to me like some idealistic bullshit on part of Riot Light or whoever actually, if he ever actually said this. But it might not be anything more than that. But if they actually met with these schools and with other games companies and shit like that, that's some fucked up shit. I mean, that's narcissism at best. I don't know how to call it. Hubris.
No,
hubris at worst.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But it is terrifying because I would not at any point in my job as an esports journalist presume, well, okay, what I'm going to start doing is everybody who reads my articles or watches my videos, I'm going to start getting them to fill in some surveys. I'm going to get them to agree to this terms of service thing. I'm going to start finding out my demographic and who can be manipulated to be loyal to the agenda I have or whatever. Like, you just wouldn't even begin to think about this. Yet for some reason, it's being given a pass in games development predicated solely on this idea that the internet needs to be a safe space.
Yeah,
and this is what it all comes back to.
It's the good old thing of think of the children.
Yep, absolutely. And we've
where
seen
you
this a
use
million
some
times before.
where you use some bullshit excuse to basically infringe on civil liberties or privacy. And frankly, it's a way or an attempt to control people. And even if Riot or Light or whoever doesn't have any bad intentions about this, which for the moment I'm going to keep in limbo, but even if they don't have bad intentions with this, the potential for abuse for this stuff is huge. I mean, think about it. If you could actually manipulate human behavior to behave, or if you could actually manipulate humans at a very basic level to behave in a way that you deem acceptable, others do not, or maybe others do too, because you manipulated them
Yeah,
too.
no, I know what you mean, manipulated. Yeah.
Right. And if you, I mean, the word itself should already basically give away how bad this is, because it's manipulation. It's changing of how you want people to behave, and changing how people behave, or maybe even changing basic human nature, human natural behavior, and that's just fucked up on so many different levels.
Here's all you need to know about the
Yeah.
tech media, and its progressive bias towards this safe space bullshit that is coming out of America and Europe, unfortunately now, right? And it's this. For years, we had the dick rammed down our throat about how games were dangerous, they were invasive, they corrupted the youth, we didn't know enough about them, we had to do scientific studies to ascertain how dangerous playing games were. And even when scientific studies were coming back saying games are harmless, gaming addiction is a negligible thing. It comes down to individuals' personalities and a predisposition to addictive personality, this kind of thing. And there was multiple studies coming out, all saying good things about games and how they helped people and how gamers were more sociable, actually, not less, and gamers were more likely to be intelligent and better at problem solving, and all of these scientific studies were saying gaming was a good thing. The progressive left media continued to attack gaming and make us outliers, saying games were dangerous, they were insidious, they could control your mind. Now here we have a company that is actively saying they want to do that. They actively want to use a game to manipulate your behavior. And
but they want to do it for good.
Right, exactly. But because they want to do it for progressive reasons, to stop you being abusive, to stop you being racist, homophobic, transphobic, and all these other things that actually 99% of the people getting banned and 99% of the people going through the system aren't even doing anyway, right? All of a sudden, everyone's like, hey, yeah, there's no problem with that. Again, it's the logical inconsistency. And I cannot believe that the same media that were railing against stuff like Postal, saying Postal is a fucking school shooting simulator or whatever, right? Why aren't they railing against the games company's attempts to actively manipulate the behavior of its user base? That is so logically inconsistent. It makes my mind fucking spin like a washing machine. It's just unreal.
It's so blatant in a way. That's kind of what's fucking with my head, because it's so out in the open, so very obvious what the agenda is, or more likely what the thought behind it is, and why people are doing what. That at this point, why the fuck would we ever listen to that shit? I mean, I remember I used to play Counter-Strike back before there was even Steam. So for the people around who don't know, that was about, I think, 12 years ago.
And it's a long time ago. I came in after Steam hadn't long been out, but yeah, that's a long time.
And basically back then, I remember in Germany we had worries too. And one of the interesting things about all the safe space shit is that in Germany we have relatively strict laws about free speech or freedom of speech. For example, something you might recall was on your Twitter where someone was asking what to do about you insulting someone, right?
Yes. Yeah, because I called him an asshole, and he was asking people if I could be sued or arrested and how he could pursue it legally. And it turns out he was right. In Germany, you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. In Germany, insults are illegal. They can mean up to 1 year in prison, depending on the offense. And what's called physical insults can mean up to 2 years in prison, or more likely a monetary fine that, and that's noteworthy here, won't be paid to the victim. It will be paid to the state.
Oh, of course, because the state
Germany
is
is
truly
replaced
into
Sweden.
party.
Germany's replaced
Yeah,
Sweden
no,
as the
no.
cuckold country now.
No, you're wrong, Sam.
It's
You're
gotta
wrong.
be the
You're wrong.
cuck country now, mate.
No. You see, Germany. Look, I get this. Right? Derb won't even mind me saying this. Okay, I get why Germany would have a pushback against fucking what they perceive to be racism. Holy shit! You know, all you got to do. Right. Look, I'm just gonna say the word once, and then we'll never speak about it again. Derb, forgive me.
Triggered.
Sure.
The Holocaust hangs over every argument, every debate, every discussion you have with a modern, the modern politics of Germany, and it is like some horrible stain that people in Germany who have had nothing to do with it and absolutely do not subscribe to anything even close to those politics feel they have to apologize for. And as a result
It's
of
true.
that, you end up with situations exactly like this, which is, hey, you can't even wear. Okay, so interesting fact: when they were filming *Inglourious Bastards*, I think it was, which they were filming over in the German equivalent of Hollywood, whose name escapes me. Derb, you know
I don't
this
know.
one.
I don't know. It's
I
probably
can't remember it, but I
Munich.
wrote about it. ESGN had a studio there. Anyway, they couldn't. They couldn't. They had to get like special dispensation from the state to wear Nazi uniforms because
Right.
it's illegal on German soil to do it.
Not
It's illegal
quite
on German
true,
soil.
but yeah.
Such is the shame that these people feel every day, and they shouldn't feel ashamed no more than we should feel ashamed for the bombing of Dresden or years of colonial imperialism and slavery and what we did in the Raj in India. I don't feel ashamed for that. It was nothing to do with me. Nobody called me up and said, "Hey, Rich, do you want to bomb Dresden?" Nobody said that to me. So
Sure.
why the fuck would I feel ashamed of it? And
I
unfortunately,
want
it's
to
now
say
starting to
something on
inform
this,
policy.
please, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Do it, Deb.
Sure. For one thing, insult laws are actually older than the current state of Germany. They existed before the Third Reich, and
No
they have-
way.
yeah, they are. I actually looked it up.
Cuckold country, homie.
Shut up,
Cuckold.
motherfucker. Shut up. Is that
No.
real? Is that true?
As far as I know, that is real, and basically it was debated when the new constitution came along whether or not insult laws should be adopted again. And the overall consensus was that due to overwhelming precedents, it's relatively easy to decide when to apply insult laws and when not to. So it was adopted. I actually looked this up.
Holy shit.
Cucked.
Oh, but here's the thing.
Sure.
Surely,
Yeah.
surely that wasn't being enforced. I mean, you know,
It
when we
was
had the
enforced.
East-West divide-
It was enforced. It really was, and it's still enforced today. There was a recent case. I don't know. I think 2 years ago or so, where someone wrote on a Facebook page or a post about some policemen doing something they didn't approve of. That
Yeah,
they
but I mean, in the last 10 years, I'm sure it has been enforced. What I mean is, it wasn't enforced
Yeah.
in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Nobody talked about it.
I don't honestly know. I think in some cases it was, in some it wasn't. I think there was a very famous debate on something because we actually have a hate crime law too, which I wanted to get to, which is Volksverhetzung. That's partly why I started this whole thing about you and the Twitter argument, because one of the guys who argued against gamers and all that shit, in Germany the term Killerspiele, killer games or killing games, was actually popular for shooters, and basically someone who propagated that and called all killer games killer game players murderers and such was basically charged with a hate crime, or rather with Volksverhetzung, because he incited hatred against the group of among the German people, namely gamers, who had in essence done nothing to him, and he had no proof for it. So
hate speech laws actually worked out for gamers. We
Right.
were considered a minority group.
I don't know the results of the charge, whether or not it how it ran out or how it turned out. But he certainly, I remember him being charged, but I don't know what came of it. You might have to ask Anna. She might
Yeah,
know.
well, I will definitely look into this. This is super interesting. These are the
Because
calls that I live for, Derb. You should call in every week.
oh, I don't know if I can afford to with a job and all.
I'm not charging you. Don't
No,
put that
no,
rumor
because
out. Richard Lewis
not
takes
what-
money
not
from his calling.
not what I meant. I meant because I'm going to have to get up early, and
Right, I see. You have my
and
sympathy.
if it takes its tax over a longer period, that might be a bit uncomfortable. But I'm certainly making time for it if I can. So
Awesome.
basically,
Glad to hear it.
basically, what I wanted to get at was this hate crimes and all this stuff. In
Yeah, well,
Germany,
let's move on. Let's move on to that then. And again, the show is going to go on. We're definitely going to get other callers in. Everybody's really enjoying this call, but just in case anyone's thinking we can't just have one caller all night, the show will go on as long as it has to until Derb has made his points. So yeah, but let's get to hate crimes.
Hate crimes in Germany is something that I've been talking about in Kotaku in Action, actually, quite a lot. We actually have a rather positive experience with it all. As Germans, I mean that's my experience, and other people who I've talked to in Germany, we actually have an overall positive view on this whole thing, because to Germans, basically, the way the rise of the Third Reich is taught, it basically makes clear what power propaganda holds. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that if, for example, Brianna Wu or Anita Sarkeesian would spout some of the things they are spouting in social media in America or in Britain, they would actually make themselves liable in Germany. And that's an interesting fact that nobody seems to think of, that these laws that these people might actually want to have, these laws might actually work out in favor of us. Something that people might not consider too much or might be in doubt about, but overall, the experience in Germany is overwhelmingly positive, according to anecdotal evidence now. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, other Germans might feel differently. If they do, speak up, whatever, call in, call me a cunt, I don't give a fuck. And on the issue of Nazi uniforms and all that stuff, because that's something that comes up quite a few times as well. Anything in regards to Nazi symbolism and stuff is banned in Germany under the act banning unconstitutional symbols. There are very special exceptions for these. One of them is within the context of art. Artistic expression is allowed, even if it contains swastikas or the imperial eagle or stuff like this. It's allowed, so long as it's considered art, which is why people are trying to get video games considered art in Germany. It's allowed within the context of depicting history. It's allowed within the context of scientific study. And I think there were two other exceptions in this law. So basically the reason why Inglourious Basterds had to get the permit was to make sure that they were doing it for artistic reasons. Basically, if you shoot a movie, you will be allowed to have this, you will be allowed to display swastikas in Germany, but you basically go to the office and say, here, I want to get a permit. That's what you do. So it's not a big deal. It's just that it's basically a formality, I would say. You'll if an officer will see you with a swastika or something, he may arrest you. If you do a Nazi salute, he may arrest you. But if you have the permit, you should be fine. Basically,
can you go to jail for doing a Nazi salute?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Anna what common practice is. I know that generally it's...
I mean, it's not giving me ideas for like my next...
yeah,
anyway.
sure.
Definitely, that's not why I'm asking. I just find it... look, I'll be honest with you. I find it... I find it very strange that, like, while I understand what the Nazi salute means, historically, I kind of feel it's like some very...
You think
You
it's
know, like when you
aggressive?
start banning people for hand gestures, like I saw this with you know, the French comedian and
Yeah.
notorious anti-Semite Dudon. He was banned for inventing. He was jailed, in fact, I believe, for inventing his own apparently racist hand symbol called the quenelle.
Okay.
Have you seen this? So the
No, actually,
quenelle was kind of an inverted Nazi salute. Hand like this, and the right hand pointing down towards your feet. So kind of the opposite of what we would call the Heil Hitler. Now, he was doing this. Apparently, he called it an anti-establishment salute. You would use this if you were, against the establishment. He believes the establishment is controlled by Zionists. Obviously, I don't subscribe to that theory. But anyway, a bunch of footballers in the Premier League, for example, to show solidarity. There was Nicolas Anelka, the French footballer. He scored a goal one day, and he ran off doing the quenelle, which is, again, it's a nonsensical symbol with it has no historic basis even. And he was doing the quenelle in the corner, and he got banned for like 6 games for racial insensitivity.
it
And I
seems
believe
like an
Dudon,
overreaction. Yeah.
yeah, and I believe Dudon, if I remember rightly, I think what actually got him put in prison was he released some sort of anti-Semitic rant on Facebook on the same day of the Charlie Hebdo massacre.
Okay.
And the reason he did this was to effectively prove that it's like, if we're supporting Charlie Hebdo's right to be offensive, and we're saying I love Charlie, sorry, I'm Charlie, je suis Charlie, then why wouldn't we extend the same logic to anti-Semites? So he's, he knows how to play the system, but yeah, I think he did 6 months for that. 6 months inside. So where this all ties in with the German thing is, I mean, aren't you worried that, okay, I would consider it egregiously offensive, actually. But again, I've never liked the idea of arresting and jailing people on the basis of offense alone. It feels that that's a step too far in civil liberties.
Yeah, you have to take German jails and prison systems into account as well. The German prison system is nowhere near, for example, America. It's just not even half as bad. It's a simple fact, and if you take that into account, in Germany there's also a practice called I'm drawing a blank. It's a temporary jailing, as opposed to a permanent jailing. If you know the video with jail cells in basically every American movie where there's 20 guys in one cell, that simply won't happen in Germany. As far as I know, each and every person will have an individual cell to sleep in, and basically it's generally not a problem. So there's that as well, and frankly, when I think back to how old these laws actually are about unconstitutional symbols, they date back to, I think, the 1950s, when the constitution in Germany was first written, and they haven't really been amended, in the sense that there hasn't been anything added to them that constitutes an unconstitutional symbol. All that's in there is, as far as I know, Nazi stuff. So so it's not as bad as people always make it out to be, and frankly, in Germany, we have a lot of stability. Our political system isn't as bad as most other political systems because we actually have 2 votes and stuff like that. So we have simply because we have a younger constitution, and because we've had, let's put it like this, we've had a lot of sane people writing laws to begin with. We've had relatively good experiences, both with the law overall and with law enforcement as a whole, and also with stuff like insults, for example, something you might not know, or you probably don't know, because why the fuck would you? It's not something you'd have to deal with.
Let's see. My brain is filled with useless information. So
sure, but about insults, for example, insults wouldn't be counted if or shouldn't be counted by a judge, because we don't have trial by jury. We have trial by trial by judge, or trial by judges, and in case of insults,
is that entirely?
We don't have juries. We don't have juries.
You don't. Germany doesn't have juries.
Right. In case of,
how
for
can I
example,
not know this?
In case,
I feel like I should know that.
in case of, for example, a murder charge, the panel will consist of 3 judges and 2 lay judges called Schöffe, I believe. And other than that, there are no juries in Germany. And actually, again, we prefer it this way. Weird as it may sound.
That's insane.
I mean,
Yeah,
No,
it's true. It's true.
No,
Germans,
it's insane. I mean, I remember when we started in Britain, we introduced for some smaller cases to have that sort of, to expedite the process of getting, what was deemed to be fairly pointless and small and trivial cases. You could not have a jury. Okay. And they would say, look, we'd rather not have a jury for this. And you could kind of opt in. Your council could fight for the right to have a jury for some cases, but we actually kind of got rid of it for small and trivial stuff and just to expedite the process. But the idea that you would have a system that is predominantly based on not having to convince a jury of your peers, that's horrifying to me. That has to be the barometer, right?
It's basically what happened was this: we used to have a jury of our peers, and it was removed in favor of a panel of judges or simple judges. And the German feeling on it all is that, or I'm trying to get a global sense on it, because it's not that I'm still speaking on maybe, if at all, 60% of the population. Maybe others feel differently. And basically the German feeling on it is that you would rather have a panel of experts who actually know the law, who know what is right, who know what your rights are, who have judged cases like these before to determine whether or not you are guilty, rather than some random 12 people.
Okay, so let me just get this clear. So how many people would typically sit on this panel, and how are they selected?
For ordinary cases, I think it's only 1 judge. And for
an ordinary case, it's at the judge's behest.
Right.
Right.
But
okay.
you can.
And what about in a more complicated, like a murder case, something like that? How would you do it?
Murder case has, as far as I know, 3 judges and 2 lay judges. Lay judges are, as far as I know, but I'm not sure about this, they are basically ordinary people. And they have the same voting.
The lay judges are the sort of citizenship.
Right.
And they're sworn in temporarily. Right, I get it. Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, look, that doesn't sound quite so bad.
Yeah, that doesn't sound as bad as I thought. When he said he was just a judge, I was like, this guy's just going to wreck everyone.
No, but here's the thing. For smaller cases as is, and I'll tell you a very true story. Yeah. Obviously, I've had a lot of run-ins with the law in the past, both good and bad. And my girlfriend also has to go to court cases for a matter of what she does for her job, which ordinarily I'd talk about openly, but I with the current Brianna Wu situation, you'll have to forgive me if I renege on providing any detailed information. But the bottom line is she has to deal with the judges, and she's had many an old judge say to her, when a case has been found not in her favor. The judge has said, "Yeah, but I like to throw an odd not guilty in there."
Okay.
When they met in the chambers, he said, like, I've done 5 that were guilty, and I like to throw the odd not guilty in.
Right. You
as if that was the most perfectly reasonable thing. Now, there's multiple examples of incredible judges that have gone on to be notorious figures, actually. Because of their ineptitude and their strange reasoning in the British court system. Now, one when I was growing up was Judge Pickles. Now, Judge James Pickles, the Justice James Pickles, he died in 2010 at the ripe old age of 85. And if I remember rightly, I'm just going to quickly Google. Yes, there it is. So this guy, this is a judge, when he was presiding over a rape case, over a underage babysitter, sorry, and when I say underage, I want to make it clear she was 9 years old. She was the victim of a sex attack, and this Judge Pickles character said that she was no angel
Okay.
when providing his summation about whether or what penalty the perpetrator should have received, and because he's a judge, obviously you cannot. You cannot. There's no recourse. Judges get to do and say what they want. And I would urge anybody that's watching this right now, Google it. Judge Pickles, no angel. It'll be the first thing you'll find there. Absolutely, again, terrifying insight into the mind of some of these old antiquated judges. So this is where, I don't know if this is a uniquely British problem, but this is where I would be loath to have another Judge Pickles, say, for example, presiding over my case. And, let's say I've been raped, and he is like, let's be honest, Rich, though, you have got a nice tight arse, you know what I mean? Or something equally insensitive. Like, oh, well, you got me there, Judge. I was doing my Kegel exercises, you got me there. This level of insensitivity, cannot go, without remark. So, maybe in Germany your judges are amazing.
I don't think so, to be honest. I think we have just the same judges as you have, or maybe slightly less worse, or maybe slightly worse, but I think in general the same area will apply. I just think that those decisions that you actually hear about, where something like this is said, are first of all the exception rather than the rule, and secondly, you don't hear about these cases in cases of, say, juries. Even if, because juries, I bet you this is true as well, that juries as well will make the same thing, or will say the same damn thing. And I'm betting that juries are even less accurate than actual judges when it comes to actually finding the truth. That's the general German sense that I'm trying to convey here. Anyway, I'm going to post something in the group chat. That's the Wikipedia article on lay judges.
Absolutely, do it.
It's in German, unfortunately, because there's no English page. But
my German's not so great. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's just just so you know, there's a lot of rules involved in this, and for example, murder is here, robbery is here, sexual assault is here, breaking and entering, I think, is here. And abuse of power by a state official is here.
And just to wrap this up before we get into pay-per-view, what I've always admired, because we'll keep going. Don't you worry about that. You've earned that right. What I will say is one of the things I've always liked about juries is, for the most part, I honestly think if you assemble any 12 civilians, even though I know in my heart of hearts that the individual is good, but people suck. Yeah. Right? If you assemble 12 people, more often than not, I think you arrive at the right decision. I think you have to look at some very
or something.
Yeah, but you have to arrive at some very extreme examples to see where a jury of peers have ruled against someone in an unacceptable fashion. And yes, there are plenty of them. Some of these miscarriages of justice are legendary. I don't need to go into them. If you look at for example, some of the cases in the southern states of America, that again, they're replete with examples. But here's the point: we know those examples because they're so extreme. They are the outlier, and I generally think the jury system is something to be preserved and cherished more often than not. Justice will be served. Yeah,
it's more often. Position. I think you have a right to that opinion. I just wanted to share the German perspective on this because
but it's good to know, because me and Sam talk about this a lot, and we talk about Sweden in particular as being this country that really seems to be like, on the one hand, it's like, hey, we want to do this kind of thing, and then it goes like back the other way, like but think of diversity and multiculturalism and political correctness and all this other stuff. So we can't do that. So we have to go completely the other way. And it's so extreme, some of the policies they put forward. So, but anyway, enough politics.
Sure.
Let's talk about pay-per-view, and then
Sure.
we'll get you off to a nice early night.
Early. Sure.
Early-ish.
I want to make one last point because you mentioned it in the beginning, and I think it will
Absolutely.
frame the discussion nicely about the Riot study, which is the number of false positives. If you look at the study, it says something like 3,230 hits were made, or rather the algorithm they used to determine the names found 3,230 people with inappropriate names. Now, out of these 3,230, 1,030 were dismissed because they weren't actually inappropriate. So that's an accuracy rate of 66% for an automated algorithm. Now,
keep in mind, didn't Light talk loads about how good his machine learning was and how it was like, it's evolving, all of that. A third of all of the samples you picked out using this fucking method were wrong. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine if this was literally like medieval times and it was like, oh, I've got this new machine learning. I don't know why Light's around him, medieval times, or indeed why we have the internet or anything, but just work with me here. And it's like, look, we've got this system and it finds witches. Right? It finds them. It finds them, and what we do is we'll just drown them immediately, because that's what you have to do with witches. And remember, if they float, they're a witch, and if they drown, they were innocent. And we'll just chuck them in the river. And 1/3 of those people shouldn't even fucking be there. I think even fucking Matthew Hopkins, the Witchfinder General, would have come forward and gone, you know what, Light? This is a bit much, innit, mate? I'm getting sick of drowning all these women. Your system's fucked. 1/3. Fucking hell. Anyway, sorry, go on.
So anyway, I was just going to say that because 1/3 of people that were picked out automatically were wrong. So assuming for the moment that they actually use a similar system for determining whether or not someone is toxic and using, let's say, appropriate measures within their game in order to improve their behavior. Let's say something like a speech ban or whatever they call it. And imagine that 33% of people who were found by this algorithm might simply not be actually eligible. Let's call it that for a punishment. So what the fuck is this even? I mean, that's something that Light played down a bit, or rather that he masterfully distracted from when he made his tweets about this whole situation. Because I remember it when the system went online. The first thing I think he mentioned was, "Our system just found the first intentional griefer." So
he bragged about it.
Yeah, exactly. And what for me now springs out is a bit, okay, how many griefers did you find, and how many were actually griefers? Because that's something that you actually always have to ask, but he masterfully distracted from that with just a simple tweet. And for anyone who wants to get a bit into the head of, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, sure. I just clicked on Skype and I was wondering. Anyway, for anyone who wants to get a bit into the head of Riot Games, just look at the last page of the study. Maybe Sam can link it. I don't know. It's on the 7th page actually in the PDF. When you just read the paragraph conclusions, because there's so many things in there that just show the narcissism within the mindset of these people. That's incredibly insulting. One of the things that what stood out to me was here, and I'm quoting: "Here we expect players who have limited abilities to discount immediate gratification to have stereotypical profile in complex online games such as LoL, which may alter long-term in-game success rates both for themselves and for other teammates." In other words, they're basically making some grand assumptions based simply on your username about who you are, what you do, and how you behave. And it's just seeping with arrogance. It's delicious.
Hey, so I've been told. So I've been told Germans know a thing or two about arrogance.
We do.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a little bit of xenophobic humor. But anyway, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because we were only going to run for 2 hours. I spent 30 minutes talking about Charlie Sheen's dick. We've spent an hour talking about Riot Light's dick. So we'll do pay-per-view next time. But promise me, next show you're going to call in and talk about that, right?
Sure. Give me a heads up, and I'll try to make time for it. Okay. If I don't catch you next time, I'll call you. I'll catch you the time after that. Okay.
Right. Awesome. Hey, that's great to hear, man. And on behalf of all of the audience and everyone that's been enjoying all of this stuff, thanks very much. Definitely call back in. You look after yourself.
You too, brother. Bye.
All right, there we go. Awesome call, Sam.
It was good, but
yeah, I love Derbs, man. He's a smart dude.
Dibs.
And here's the thing: he'll hate me for saying this, but he's gone now, right? He didn't call in for ages because he says he has this, social anxiety, that he gets nervous and has a propensity to stammer and not make his points, and he gets sweaty palms and mom's spaghetti and all of that stuff, right?
Yep.
And this is why, like, first of all, it's amazing that somebody as intelligent and articulate as that would have those kind of anxieties. But on top of that, I just want to say, isn't it great that trash talk exists?
Yeah, I love this show, man. I think it's genius.
No, but seriously.
Yeah, I'm not even joking.
It's not genius. It's not genius. But isn't it wonderful? Right, you think about it. You think about this, okay? For all the shit that comes our way, Sam, we take anyone on these shows. No. We take anyone. We shy away from nobody. You can be a celebrity, fine, brilliant. Okay? Doesn't give you any fucking, special treatment here. You can come in and you can talk bollocks. We'll have you on. You can be high as a motherfucker. God knows that's happened a bunch of times. Right? We've even had people on this show who are more high than me when I'm doing this show. And we have them on. And I like to think this is a vehicle. A vehicle for gamers to connect to gamers, for esports enthusiasts to connect with other esports enthusiasts, obviously. And indeed, the only person...
man. We're all on one bus, man.
Mate, when you do that voice, that's like more like Matthew McConaughey in True Detective.
It's all one ghetto, man. It's all one ghetto with us.
Out of space. Anyway, point being that the only person we've ever rejected was, of course, Clive.
Get fucked, Clive.
Do you want to know what's funny, actually? Just we'll move on to another call in a second. You'll enjoy this. You'll enjoy this, dude.
A little bit of Clive.
A little bit of Clive. Yeah, Clive talk, real talk, the realest of them. So there I was, following this girl home. No, wait, that's Clive.
Jesus Christ.
Edgy humor. Anyway, so I'm out in Ohio, for Columbus MLG. Great time, great event. We were having a wonderful time. All the casters are out there. And I was a little bit apprehensive because there was a mix-up with the hotel rooms. Now, being top-tier talent, obviously I get my own hotel room. The real reason why I get my own hotel room is I snore terribly, as you know. And indeed, not only do I snore terribly, I have this weird habit of pulling down my whatever I sleep in bunks in my sleep. Yeah, no, but here's the thing: you took photos of my ass while I was asleep. Yeah, you've took photos of my ass.
Yeah.
And just so people know, because people obviously think we're friends, just so you all at home know, right? He's blackmailed me with those pictures.
Oh, say fuck, mate. No real blackmail. Only equal. I blackmail you, as in you've got pictures of me. I'm like, well, if you put those pictures, I put these. That doesn't count.
What are my pictures?
Mate.
What are my pictures of?
All right. No.
Why would I have pictures of my ass?
I don't know.
That's a new level of narcissism, that isn't it? Ooh, what a nice ass. Whose is it? Mine. Okay. What are my pictures of?
My head, mate. Yeah, but
right, your head.
Yeah,
and what are your pictures
worse than your ass, mate.
Right, and what have you threatened to put on the internet if I ever my ass?
Well,
which you got while I was
on the game, mate.
You
it's on the game. It's on the game, Sean.
You took a photo of my ass on multiple occasions, actually.
Yeah.
Of my ass while we were sharing a room while I was asleep.
Yeah.
If I was a woman.
Oh, mate, yeah, but people don't understand, right? So imagine wake up in the middle of the night, you're just like, Right, I'm just like, what's happening? I roll over and you just see this massive, like his pants are just like round his knees, just like.
I didn't even know how that happened though.
It's unreal, mate. So I started laughing. So how can I not take a picture of that, mate?
That would be the last thing I would think of doing. Put it this way: if it was your massive ass, which again, do you remember when?
No,
do you remember when
let's not
caught your
discuss that.
footage of your ass on film?
You didn't
remember
catch
that?
it. I did it. And it was
Right, there we go
never
then.
to
Yeah,
be seen again.
Yeah. And what did you do?
Deleted it.
You deleted that immediately. And I was like, okay, fine.
No,
Guess
you were raging. You were fuming, like, as if for some reason
yeah,
we were ever going to put my ass on trash talk, as if I was ever going to happen.
Anyway, point being, right? So there I was out in Columbus, Ohio. You blackmailer. Yeah, back on point. Now, let's not turn on each other, okay? Save it after the show. And I was out there, and I got put in a room initially with launders.
All right.
Okay, now you know launders, right?
Yep, I'm aware.
Okay. Now Clive has talked endlessly about launders. And in fact, when Clive has been talking about how bad I am at my job, he very often talks about how launders should be doing my job instead of me. How can you have Richard Lewis as an analyst? What does he know about CSGO? Get launders in. Keep in mind, by the way, launders was great. But I didn't know that at this point. So I was like, brilliant. I'm in a room with Clive's mate. He's going to teabag me, isn't he?
He's going to bum me.
Yeah, no, not bum. Let's not go mad. He's going to teabag me, or he's going to like wait until I'm asleep and take photos and send them to Clive or something, or steal my passport or something. So I was mad para. Anyway, fortunately, I didn't have to do that, right? And then I met Launders. And he came over, and I thought, yeah, we're going to put that salty brown nutsack in my mouth. Now we're working together. So I'm shaking his hand, and
Jesus!
And that didn't happen.
And then he went, "Smelly mum," and stuck his fingers in his nose.
we definitely didn't do that either. So Launders and me got talking. I was like, "This guy's awesome. This guy's really cool. How can this guy?" Sorry, sore throat. So I was like, "How can this guy? How can this guy be friends with Clive? How does that make sense? Okay. It doesn't make sense. That they would be pals." So on the last night, the penultimate night, I had it out with him. I said, "Launders, mate, I was really worried when we first met because I thought we're not gonna get along. Because you're friends with Clive. I thought you were gonna murder me at the worst, or sexually assault me at the best, and take photos of it and send them to Clive." And he went, what? Well, I don't really know Clive. And I went, "What do you mean? He's always talking about you." And he was like, "Yeah, he just kind of added me one day, and
Jesus Christ.
he just talks about me a lot and says that I should have jobs, and I'm kind of a little bit scared." And I don't want to ever tell him that we're not friends, right? And I was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, but I hardly talk to the guy. And I was like, "Cool." We went out and we hung out, okay, and we all did this. Anyway, so I started asking the rest of the guys, has anyone had Clive, add them out of the blue? And it happened to Hiko, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just like they couldn't take that. So then Clive added Thorin. And did it, and then obviously Thorin was just like, "Yep, fuck off, you're mental, goodbye." And apparently he did it to everybody. So I don't even know where I'm going with this story, but basically, I don't even feel the need to sort of maybe castigate Clive. It's quite sad, really, in a lot of ways. So should we do another caller, Sam?
Maybe start Get Clive a Carer fund, mate.
Get Clive a carer hashtag.
Yeah.
How long? Hang on, let me try that. The one thing I just want to check before we do Get Clive a carer. First of all, I don't think that hashtag is going to have been used by anyone else. No, we haven't. So Get Clive a carer. But here's the thing: are we going to get called ableist if we do that?
How? No. He just needs care. What do you mean? How can this be bad? He's obviously mentally ill. He needs help. He needs direction in his life.
Oh, someone did hashtag carer for Clive.
Yeah, that's good.
That's snappier. That's better. Thank you, Flormanuk. Yeah, hashtag carer for Clive. Let's do that.
All right, so start the hashtag.
Yeah, okay. Start the hashtag.
Carer for
Should we
Clive.
do that?
With a 4 now, not 4. Carer for Clive, is it? Or are we doing
What,
4?
you don't want the number 4?
No, with the number 4, I said. Everyone's got...
Yeah.
Just make sure everyone's on the same page, mate.
Yeah, good. Got it. It wouldn't be a hashtag either.
Exactly.
If everyone was using different ones, it wouldn't work. Okay, well, I mean, so what's the goal? Like, how much money do we need? Keep in mind, by the way, I had a Patreon told me that there's been people who signed up to Patreon and because their credit cards were null and void, we had $400 just drop off.
Yeah. Straight Rob. But the thing is, other people can't see that. So for us, right, when we go to our Patreon, it says we currently have 1,400, which means we haven't even got to do a new show, really, mate. So
Yeah. Well, fuck them.
Get wrecked. We're at 1,421.
No, but those people only dropped off. Those people only dropped off after like 3 attempts or something to take money from them.
Yeah.
So they signed up with just fake details, which is great. I love the effort, actually. Yeah. Cheers for the boost. Anyway, let's do a caller.
Right.
I'm just going to make some fapping noises with my tubes here.
Okay. Ooh, we've got a long list now, mate. We'll go with eating a squid. Take this back to CS. Take it back to esports. Wants to talk about the new Fnatic roster with Dennis looking really good online, and could that possibly be a change to take them back to the top?
Sounds a bit serious, but let's see. Let's do it. It's less serious than German politics, I imagine. Hello there, eating a squid. How are you doing?
Hey, man. I'm doing well. Doing really good.
You good?
Actually. Yeah.
Awesome. Very glad to hear it. Obviously, you've called into the show before. So let's talk about Fnatic. They have been looking good. It wasn't... I was at Face It on the weekend, so I got to watch a few of their games in detail. If I remember rightly, they did lose one of them. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the first one they played. But then since then, you're right, they have been looking good indeed. Not Flusher individually, who has looked pretty poor, but everyone else seems to be doing just enough to get them the wins. And of course, they absolutely blew a struggling Na'Vi out of the water very recently.
Yeah, it was
so what are your thoughts about the new look for that?
Yeah, no, I think they're looking really good. I think the main thing that makes me see a lot of promise in them is every single member is having their on games and their off games. So literally all 5 members are having times to step up. Even Flusher in the last, I think today he did really well. And he's had odd games where he pops.
Hello? Is that me who's gone? Sam?
I'm here, mate. I'm here. What's happening?
Oh, Squid has gone quiet.
Oh, shit, there he is.
Oh, there we go.
Me?
There he is.
There we go. I just assumed I'd been DDoSed.
I went for a piss, mate. The 1:30 seconds I take off, something shits the bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to the jungle, mate. So anyway, so so
where did I get
cut off at the point, I believe, where you said they were all having their own games, and like today, and then it went.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so today I think Flusher had some really good games, and then a couple of days ago I think he had some really good games, and then between there I think he had some really bad games. And when Flusher's been stepping up, Olaf's been stepping down, and when Olaf's been stepping up, Crims has been stepping down, and they've just been taking it in turns to just go out and wreck, to be honest. Obviously it's just online, but
yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, whatever happens in terms of this Fnatic, I don't understand who is going to be tactically as on point within that team as Pronax used to be. I'm not really feeling it. I think having Flusher as an in-game leader is a huge fail, and what I would probably do is try and have Vugo, or if not Vugo, I'd replace Vugo and bring somebody in who could call for the 5. I think that's the sensible way of doing things long term, because Nothing will ever convince me that Flusher is a good in-game leader.
I don't know if in the new, and I know this is going to be a really unpopular opinion, but playing myself at like not at a
Silver
professional level, no, not at a professional.
Gold 2.
He's gone.
He's gone again.
He's had enough. Get him out. I don't even know what's
Where's he
happening,
gone?
mate. I don't know. You've made him rage
Oh,
calling goal 2.
No, he's back now. He's back. So here you go.
What the
Right,
fuck's going on? Let me plug this.
Look, mate. I don't know. This is.
I must be
Not a
raging
good look
so
for you,
hard.
brother.
I know. It's
Right.
terrible, isn't it? Right.
So where did we get up to? I was saying you were gold
playing
2.
at a
You definitely can't
yeah,
compare
yeah.
what the level you play to Fnatic ever. I will not allow you to do this.
No, I'm not. I won't go there.
Good.
But
Good.
what I am saying is, I think that the in-game leader role is overrated in the sense of you need to have an in-game leader actually in-game doing it. And I think from like what's been said and everything, that's something that Vugo can probably do. And if not, they can sort of do it by committee in the team.
It's interesting because I've heard from numerous players that actually Vugo wasn't doing anything like near the level that a lot of people thought he was and were saying that he was. And actually, it was Pronax was doing a lot of the stuff Vugo was getting credit for. That's what I've been told.
Isn't it? Because if you're not,
I have no idea if that's true.
Actually,
because, exactly.
It's really difficult from an outsider point of view because if you're not seeing their comms, maybe if we had all the player comms and stuff, we could see that. I'm not saying that it's a good thing to have or like player comms being really intrusive into the game and whatever, and seeing who's giving all the calls, but I think it could certainly give us an insight onto how crucial Vugo's role's been.
But what if it turns out that they don't win anything, but they actually they're playing good in these isolated online games, but a tournament run is a very, very different thing. And I remember when they had, obviously this is still when Pronax was in the team, but they had Flusher as in-game leader at PGL in their season 1 in Bucharest, and he was really, really poor. In fact, he was dead weight.
MLGX games as well. Didn't he start the tournament as in-game leader back then?
Yeah,
those
I
American
think he did.
fans, and they
I think he did briefly.
They did terrible, and then Pronax took it over mid-tournament, and I think they went on and won it, or it was something insane like that. I think it was X Games.
So I mean, this begs the question then. Even you seem to be providing these arguments that Pronax was a valuable part of Fnatic. I mean, indirectly, you're obviously not meaning to.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that you can even recognize, Pronax's contribution, and I think it's incredibly big shoes to fill.
That's because any player who's won fucking 3 majors has like phenomenally huge shoes. Like it doesn't matter how you cut it. If you've taken 3 major titles, you've got to have put in a hell of a lot. You can't just tag along for the trip and get 3 majors. I just think I think their next LAN, which will be their first LAN, is Face It at DreamHack Winter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
I believe there'll be in attendance there. So yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely going to that, and that will mean that they'll be in a group with 1 or 2 of TSM, Envious, Virtus Pro, NIP. They'll be in a group with at least 1 or 2 of them, and then also Luminosity, Liquid, and Legacy Esports, which is a shitty Australian team. So,
but a bit brutal. I mean, sorry, did you mean Immunity or did you say Luminosity? Luminosity,
He's
Brazilian.
had enough. He's gone. He's gone again.
Is he gone? Is he gone again? What's wrong with him?
Squid. Hello. Right, you'll have to.
Come on, Squid.
Should we sub him out, mate? He's on the edge.
No. Well, I want him to make one final point about.
Hello.
Look at it.
Can you even hear me?
He needs to be drafted, mate.
Mate. Maybe we just have to. I don't know. At this juncture. Can you hear us, Squid?
Hello.
Hello? Right, he's back.
Hello?
He's back.
Right, yeah. You
Okay.
can't put a sub on me. You can't do it. You can't do it. I don't
We
know
might have to.
The
We might have
trumpet
to.
song might have come on now, mate.
Yeah, the trumpet song's we're winding up the band. So anyway, let's make some final points. Obviously, just while your internet's shitting the bed. So I mean, look, how on earth could anyone believe that this new look Fnatic is going to somehow eclipse or equal the achievements of the previous Fnatic? You tell me.
Because I don't think other top level teams particularly have brilliant in-game leaders either. Like, I don't think Happy is like a tactical genius. I don't think any of the top level, like, you can't say Exist is a tactical genius. You can't say any of the in-game leaders at the top level are really, really good at their job. In terms of in-game leader.
I don't know. I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't agree with that at all. I'd say Karrigan is an amazing in-game leader. For example.
Yeah, but I don't think they're having a
I would
really
say Gobi
solid...
is an amazing in-game leader, and Mouse Sports aren't even particularly that good at the moment. But I think they have multiple, components that would allow them to be so. I think just using NIP as an example with Exist would be, Exist is a notoriously stubborn in-game leader, and I wouldn't even say necessarily in-game leading is his strong suit. I imagine when he gets into a new team, which could even be the one with Pronax, if rumors are true, he probably won't be an in-game leader. Obviously, I know Na'Vi were in the final of the major. I think Zeus isn't even calling for them. Apparently, it is Starix now. And you've got me and Thorin often have the argument where he says he doesn't think Happy's a very good in-game leader. I disagree with that.
I don't think that he's really tactically sound. I don't think, because if you look at like most of the top teams, if you look at Envious, Na'Vi, Virtus Pro, throw Nip in there as well. I don't think that you've got brilliant in-game leaders like Old Existence or whatever, who are really sort of like drilling that sort of thing, which is working on T sides.
Well, not at the moment. Existence is having a fucking existential crisis right now.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like, where I'm literally saying he should move to coach.
Yeah.
Just at this point,
people have been saying that for like 9 months, something crazy.
Yeah, I know, but a lot longer. Trust me, and it just doesn't seem to have happened for some reason. But anyway, back to the question: how do you honestly believe this new look Fnatic are going to eclipse or equal the Fnatic of 2015?
No, I don't think that they're going to equal that, because I don't think any team will ever equal that, because I think teams are much more competitive now, and I don't think any team is going to have like a year and a half, or no, it wasn't a year and a half, but it was just over a year, a really dominant run of just over a year. I don't think that any team is going to get that again in CSGO, because there are so many teams putting so much work in. I don't actually think it's possible anymore to have a run that big, but I think that they could probably pick up where they left off and maybe have sort of a mini run of 2 months, then a drop off, and then a mini.
Speaking of a drop off, there he goes. Right, sorry mate, you're gonna have to get subbed out. You're done so. He's done.
Yeah, he's done so. I was going to ask him one question right at the end.
What was that?
So can I ask you it?
Yeah,
Will you answer it on his behalf, on Squid's behalf? Basically, we've got the Face It finals, which are going to be at the DreamHack Winter, and it's going to be, I think so far, we've got TSM, Envious, Virtus Pro, NIP, and Fnatic.
And
then I think
Legacy.
Luminosity and Liquid.
And Legacy.
And then Legacy, right, okay. So, what I was going to ask him is, based on everything he was saying about how good this new look Fnatic are going to be before his internet shit the bed, are Fnatic going to win?
No.
See, I think
Envious are way too strong right now. I think with TSM and a downslope as well, I think the only team that's going to compete maybe is Virtus Pro. Luminosity, I think, will show good, but I'm nowhere near to the level where they can beat Envious yet.
I just right now Envious is just on another fucking planet, yo.
Yeah.
Like, which I've been saying for ages. Like, it tells its own story. We're talking there, right, about all those teams that qualified. No fucking Na'Vi.
No.
Who were in the final of a major. And you're at a stage now where Guardian's like fucking GGing early in games. Like, honest to God, though, that motherfucker, like, Ladislav must be doing his fucking nut. Like, against Fnatic, for example, it was, right? He dropped a 40 bomb in a regular game that didn't have overtime and still lost.
I know. I don't know. Triggered.
Just fucking kill me, isn't it?
I'd be livid. Like, I'd just be screaming.
You're like that
fucker. Are you all right in your head?
You're like that fucker in Aliens. You know what I mean? Kill me! I'll do it with a flamethrower, obviously. Do it with a flamethrower. Why not? Speaking of which, why don't we play the trumpet again in honor of Squid's net?
Of course, man.
This is Squid. Who we call. Right. Also, as well, like, can I just also point out about the general tackiness of this wedding, right? So, like, far be it from me to fucking rag on a Mexican wedding, right? But why are they all dressed? Why are they all dressed wearing like fucking Hawaiian fucking skirts and shit? Like,
I don't know. I'm playing
you
the
see
video
that?
again now, just so people can pay attention. Look at it.
No, just go to the end.
The end. Okay.
Yeah, right at the end. Just go right to the end.
Right, there we go.
Right? Am I still on?
Yeah,
am I talking over it?
Yeah.
Right, good. So, obviously, I mean, first of all, this is just normal affair. These are the stragglers at the back, right? These are the stragglers. Like, we turned up late to the wedding. That guy didn't even want to fucking look, actually. No, go back. You can go back now.
Go back.
I'm trying to do this without doing it live. You go back. What's this guy in the fucking blue and grey shirt, t-shirt doing? He doesn't even want to look at anyone. What's his story?
I'll play it now. The blue and the grey shirt. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right,
What's his story? What's that motherfucker's story? Look at him. Just chilling, like, just fucking straight chilling, like, not even gonna look at anyone. In fact, as the brides and that walk down, he doesn't look. I'm like, watch. He looks away, like, oh, fuck this. I'm at a wedding. Oh, here we go. Better look around now. Yeah. Shifty as fuck, by the way. Anyway. So then you walk past all these other stragglers, right? Okay, and then we get to the real, involved in it. What is this? Just like, it's like you're in a tiki bar. What the fuck is going on? Like, it's a wedding. The bride made the effort. Herman fucking Munster made the effort. Reference game on point, 1950. Yeah, pretty good. Look at him, pissed off as fuck as well. Put his back. Nearly trips up at the end, trips over the bride's dress, like, just for a bit of banter. Yeah, wrecking that. And then, of course, the woman who says, oh, man, beautiful times. Anyway, point being, that is some, fuck, come on, make the effort.
Well, that's unreal.
I'd dress better than that for this show. And as for that, kill that.
Why doesn't anyone stop him? Like, if I was my wedding, just like, mate, grow up, go home. You're not getting paid. Walk home. Like, you're done.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unfucking believable. So go on, let's do a call. Let's do another call. I don't feel the call's well presented it today.
Okay. Next we have Connor Murphy. And he wants to talk about investment in esports in 2016.
Okay.
I'll answer this call.
Do you know what I love?
Bed,
you know what?
Maybe get some water for once, shall I?
Hi there, Connor. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no worries. Can hear you.
Awesome. Great to have you on board, Connor. Now, when you were talking about investment in esports in 2016, I was hoping you were going to be one of them Nigerian prince types and be like, come on and go, I have... And I won't do the voice.
I have loads of money for you. Loads.
You do the voice,
My name
exactly.
is G2A.
Right.
You are my long-lost cousin. I have plenty of money for you.
Boys, bit of decorum here. This is trash talk, for fuck's sake. The Queen watches this. So anyway, Connor, let's talk about investment in 2016 for esports.
Yeah, it's more like
concerned?
along the lines of investment of with Virtus Pro, essentially, like when they announced it like a couple of months back, some company, USM Holdings, Project Macy at $100 million. And basically, my question for you was: do you think other teams are going to get this type of investment in 2016 with things like the Turner League and other leagues like that? Basically announcing like that they're going to host tournaments and thinking that are companies in the US going to invest money into sports teams. Big money.
Well, look,
big money.
Yeah. But I think to answer this question, it would be the short answer is of course yes, but it would be a resounding yes. And I'll elaborate why. I made this point on earlier trash talks, and of course, once again, I have been proven correct. And that is that, when we've had interactions with NBA stars and NBA franchises, even players, like LeBron James, but not LeBron James, for example, have said they'd love to own an esports organization. They would love to do that. So that's on a very basic level. That those people are multi-millionaires. I will stop short of saying billionaires. And then that's before we even get into corporations. And of course, the corporations are coming, and they're coming en masse. We've had Amazon, obviously buy Twitch, and buy them for a huge sum of money. And now they're looking at actual teams. People want teams in the leagues, and they want to be part of that, and they want to sponsor it. And if possible, white label the team. And for lay persons out there, they want to basically take a team, buy the rights to a team, and then it become, again, white labeling Team Coca-Cola or whatever they say it's their team. Even though the staff behind the scene would belong to the organization that they effectively inherited. So this is definitely happening. And in fact, one of the advantages to being in the Turner League, if you think about all of the Atlanta-based companies, Coca-Cola, for example, AT&T, that already have wonderful relationships, incredibly advanced and long-standing business relationships with the Turner network. Obviously, when the esports teams come a knocking, I would imagine those are the types of companies, those are the level of companies, certainly, that would want to get involved in the Turner League. And I don't think they'd be sponsoring the teams individually. What would happen is they would sponsor the league, and that money, very much like what we see with Sky Sports, for example, or anything else, that money would trickle down and be distributed, most likely, I would imagine, equally between all of the teams in the Turner League. So that's why I think that league in particular is a hugely lucrative league for people to be in. I mean, you saw Sponge the other day, fresh from a 16-0, God bless him, against Luminosity, where seriously, honestly, we should probably talk about that a little bit, because his arse must be red raw. I really feel sorry for him. I really feel sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh, it's so it's terrible when that happens, and it's so rare when it does. But anyway, he said we're focusing. Our main concentration is getting up to the level required to be in the Turner League, and I imagine all organizations want to do that.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think you always hear like venture capitalists and things talk about this thing that they call the attention graph, and it's like what thing has the attention now of people. And like for right now, for basically if you're 20 and over, it's like it's Instagram. Like everybody's just on Instagram. Everyone's posting on Instagram. Entrepreneurs are telling businesses get on Instagram, post on Instagram, like do discount offers for Instagram, And then you see for everyone 20 and under, it's like Snapchat is the big thing now. And I think the big advantage with esports is like Twitch has like such a huge attention graph. Like I've heard people like compare like all like people think Twitch is big, but like things like Periscope and Meerkat dwarf it when it's like completely false. Like if Twitch brought out an app that allowed you to stream from your phone, they would just kill Meerkat and Periscope. I think they just murdered them, and I think Twitch Twitch really like incites investors. I think because it's such a huge platform, and if they go, oh, we have this org itself has like they have their own content platform with their website. They do blog posts and stuff. They have all these players. They have everything in place. There's these leagues coming in offering prize money. There's all these huge things, and plus there's this thing called Twitch, which has this huge platform for players. So if this org has one or two players that are big streamers, like things like VP have, Pasha, Fnatic have all of my stuff, for example. TSM like Device could be. I think if you stream more regularly, he'd be a pretty massive streamer. I think this platform like will enhance that indefinitely. And Twitch now launching new things like creative and other things like that. I think it only boosts it. So I agree with you. I think it's definitely going to happen. I just want to know. I'm more and more interested in sort of what scale are we going to see a scene where say like every team gets like a big investment of like at least $30 million. Or are we going to see more of a select few of like the big boys? Like for example, in NA, it'll just be Cloud9 who will get like a big investment of like 80 million, or for example, our CLG and Team Liquid going to get equal investment, or or Luminosity can be involved in that, or our Renegades get involved in that. That's what I'm really interested to see in 2016.
Well, yeah, it's a good question. Now, what you've actually inspired me to do here, Connor, is tell one of my stories. Now, I've never told this one. Because I wanted to preserve the sanctity, if you will, of what goes on behind closed doors. And generally, I will do that, unless, of course, you're a League of Legends Reddit using retard and you think I outed D-Man as the source of every major story I ever broke. But here's what happened. So I went to the Turner meeting. Obviously, I was there. I was in attendance. And I was there as, in my mind, I was there almost as kind of a watchdog stroke moral arbiter. In my agent's mind, I think I was there effectively pitching to be maybe a host or talent of some sort. In the mind of all of the other attendees, everybody thought I was a journalist. I was just going to leak everything that happened. And of course, I don't consider any of those things necessarily to be true, apart from maybe my own interpretation, which is I wanted to be a watchdog. So during the course of the conversation that we were all having, the Turner people were talking about all the wonderful investment opportunities that would potentially come the way of any teams participating in the league. Just as an aside, just at the Q&A portion of the meeting, and I got up and I said, well, the problem with that is. So they specifically said, when this money comes your way, you must pass this on to the players. You must do right by your players. And I was like looking around, and I looked, and I thought, no one's really done that ever in esports. So I got up and I said, look, I don't want to, rain on anyone's parade here. But there's a quote, I'm sure you guys can all identify with it. I think it was Jefferson, I can't remember. But it's about, democracy, and it's that democracy is two wolves and a sheep asking what's for dinner. And I said, and if you trust the team owners to pass on the riches and the wealth to their players just out of the kindness of their own heart, and you don't mandate specifically for the stars of your league to earn some money, then the chances are these players will be short-handed and short-changed. And anyway, I sat back down. I thought, yeah, good. Excellent. Made a good point there. And it was literally like I just crammed myself into a lift with all of these team owners and then just shat myself. And then just grinned at them on the way up. Like, yeah, that's my liquid shit running down my legs. They were appalled at what I said.
Obviously.
So, yeah, but again, I think the point you're making here is, and I think this is one that we really need to distinguish. These leagues these brands are going to be propelled into a level of public interest and a level of notoriety that has never happened before. And there's a very real chance that if the Turner League succeeds, teams like, let's say Renegades, for example, because they are 100% confirmed to be competing in it. Let's say a team like Renegades, for example, become a household name. They're going to get a new level of notoriety. They're going to get all this investment, all this opportunity. There's going to be people who are sponsoring the league directly, and there's going to be a revenue share model passed on to it. Well, what are the players getting out of all of this? And so far, it doesn't seem necessarily like there's been any agreements in place that they're going to be financially compensated for what they do. Now, this is where this is important, because on television, more so than anywhere else, there's going to be ancillary programming. There's going to be documentaries. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be all of these things every week in the broadcast. These players are going to have the opportunity to be stars like they've never had before.
Yeah.
And this is where it's important, I think, that they're financially compensated for that.
It's basically going to be Cluj-Napoca, but on a weekly scale in terms of like the documentaries.
Exactly right. And trust me, Turner have already took on board some fantastic ideas for this ancillary programming. They really want to go all out. This isn't just a case of let's put esports on television and see what happens. This is let's put esports on television and see what happens if we biographize the players, if we regularly interview the players, if we have people like, I don't know, maybe me and Duncan come on and do like a halftime show and rip on the players and also say these players are great and these players are bad and we have a bit of fun. They're even talking about having some of the animators come in and maybe do like animated skits of players that have had like bad weeks and stuff. They're really super open to pouring this on in a way that no one has ever approached esports before. So it seems to me only fair that with all of this lampoonery, with all of this pressure, with all of this attention, the players would get extra money. And again, it hasn't happened yet. There hasn't been any promises made. There haven't been any assurances that this money that's going to trickle into the organizations is eventually going to trickle down to the players. And that's been my whole concern from day one.
Yeah, but do you think so? Someone like CSN would do you think orgs would let them enforce in contracts say like all players need to get this much? But then, like surely some organization owners are going to be trying to be sly enough to say, oh, they get this much, but in this many payments over this period of time, or they get this percentage of the org maybe, or in some way where it stops them from providing the players a lump sum and keeping the cash to themselves as long as possible, like so therefore avoiding the trickle down effect instantly.
Or well, I'd like to see the league. Oh, here's what I'd like to see them do. I'd like to see the league, and this was one of my recommendations that I made, I would like to see the league enforce a minimum salary, if only for the duration of the league. But it would make sense to say, if you're competing in our league, we expect the players to be earning a minimum of this a month. Because obviously, Turner know how much money is going to be coming into the league, and they know how much money they're going to be paying the organizations. And even with all of the extra costs of extra teams in extra games, they also are going to probably, this isn't even a probably, obviously Turner are going to be footing the bill of things like travel and hotel and all the stuff around the shooting.
Yeah.
So surely that they could at least say, do you know what? Anybody who isn't paying their players, I don't know, say 6,000 euros a month, isn't really welcome in our league. We believe that is a minimum standard, or whatever it is. I mean, I'm saying 6,000 euros, but whatever the industry minimum should be, and I wouldn't have an issue with that. I think it would be a good use of influence.
Yeah, I agree, but you have to take into consideration because someone is going to try and like scheme, not really scheme out that, but try and abuse that, as in and not do it in some way, and it will come out. It will come out, and then the league has to ask it, like, what do they do? Do we just go, you're gone from the league, you're done, or did they go, we're gonna you pay the player now, and you automatically get 3 losses, and for each week you don't 3 or so losses, and for each week you don't pay the players money, you get another loss. Will the league have so much power that they will impact other tournaments inviting that team to play in that tournament? There's a lot of repercussions for I think we have to be very careful because there'll be a lot of repercussions for what these big leagues are going to put in place in terms of a rule set and how breaking that rule set will impact that org playing in other tournaments. Now, not to say that's the league's fault. Like they can impose whatever rules they want, and it's up to the orgs to abide by those rules. But I think it's going to be very interesting as an ecosystem for esports to see how that plays out, especially over 2016.
Yes,
especially in 2016.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, especially in 2016, where we think this is going to be the breakout year for esports in terms of mainstream, like with the TV deals, with the big money investment, with majors becoming more prominent.
I would need to absolutely see what before I even made a sort of judgment about what level of minimum salary would be appropriate, whether the league should enforce one or not. I would need to see in terms of revenue share how much money the organizations were getting. I don't think it would be entirely fair, for example, to say, well, actually, we thought we could get all these sponsors, but we haven't. But we're going to be on TV. You can get your sponsors. But now we're also going to insist on a minimum salary. I think that would be unreasonable. So I would need to see how much money it is. But my understanding is this is going to be a huge opportunity for all of the teams involved. And that there is going to be people interested in sponsoring the league. There is going to be money available, and that obviously Turner want the teams and organizations who come in on the ground level to benefit from forming that partnership early, because obviously they're taking a risk. Turner are taking a risk. So are the organizations, because as you rightly say, there is going to be a form of implied exclusivity. You're not going to be able to get up on a weekend for 10 weeks out of a year and go to an event. You're missing out on that. And this is why I'm talking about it has to be adequately compensated, but equally so do the players that are going to make these. I honestly believe that once it gets on TV, there's going to be a whole generation of people who've never watched esports, and they're gonna I don't know, they're gonna watch an interview with somebody like GetRice, or after watching an amazing game back and forth, they're gonna see the emotions, they're gonna get to know these people, and they're gonna be blown away by it. And I see this every time I go to an event, a live event. I remember, in fact, distinctly, this is way back, with Gfinity in the Copper Box, when Gfinity first started doing CSGO. And this is one of the reasons why Gfinity will always work with me, because we went down there and it was a bit of a disaster for CSGO. People will remember who were there. People got thrown out a little bit early, or they were starting to throw them out. We had all these delays. And I ran up and I negotiated with the security guards. This is why they were throwing everyone out, because they were like, look, we've already worked overtime with the delays. We all want to go home now, and we're not getting paid past this point. And I was like, well, what can we do to resolve this issue? There were a group of security guards who had been enjoying the game so much, they said they didn't mind staying because they were really enjoying it and they wanted to see who was going to win. So I got them to talk to their boss, told their boss he'd get overtime whether he was in the building or not, and that these guys would work for free. Did this ridiculous, insane negotiation, and obviously the crowd got to stay and we got to watch the finals. But those security guards were loving Counter-Strike so much, they were going to work off the books just to see whether Virtus Pro could come back and win this fucking thing. That's how psyched they were about it. And I see it all the time. I see fathers bringing their kids to events, and they say, wow, this is all bollocks. Day one, it's bollocks. Just there with the kid. Day three, they go out wearing an NIP t-shirt.
Yeah.
People get sucked into it. So this is why I think when we go on television, and it's coming, when we go on television, I think we're going to actually find a new generation, an older generation of people that are going to be super into this shit. And as a result, I do think the money's going to be there. I think the interest is going to be there. And I think maybe some of the fans we lose along the way when gambling gets regulated, we're going to make up that deficit through good television and good television broadcasting.
And also, how important do you think it's going to be for these players to have a good support system? Because when they get all this money, they're going to be... right now, it's crazy in terms of the fan base they're exposed to, but it's going to get a lot bigger when it gets mainstream. And I seriously question whether, because a lot of these players are CS:GO or LCS or whatever game, they're getting younger and younger because it's actually becoming like it can be a career choice now for at least for your 20s. It's a possible career choice, and even after that you can go into the business side of esports. So it is a possible career choice. So people are like this in college, getting into it younger and younger, like 16, 17. And I honestly would like to see the leagues put some money into a support system for players for things like psychology and things like that, or just because I seriously question whether some of these players will be able to handle what goes on. Like we saw it with SK Gaming, at least anyway, which said they were asked LCS, but they're going to get relegated, and sponsors saying, if you get relegated, we're not going to give you this much money, and players are having a fucking panic attack,
Yeah. Well, but it's the beauty of it, of course, because this is almost like once a TV network commits to something, at least for the first year, for the first 2 seasons, and keep in mind, they're already looking at expanding into other games. So for 2017, there's a good chance there'll be another esports title involved, if not before. So they've already looked long term at this. They feel it's a growth industry and something they can benefit from as a business. So with that comes this idea: suddenly you're too big to fail. The idea of an organization that's in the Turner League shortchanging players who then have to turn up to the Turner League and they're like all stressed out and fucked up because they're not getting the money, that's not going to fly. And this is the beauty of it, where maybe even a player union wouldn't have power. One good thing, one good regulatory body is if you could always get the people who hold the purse strings on board, then you're always going to win. So, for example, let's just say I've said this should happen. If 2 organizations are sponsored by the same sponsor, so again, we'll use Logitech. That's my go-to example. So you've got 2 teams, Team A, Team B, both sponsored by Logitech. Team B's manager isn't paying the players their salary. Okay? Team A is. They should be going to Logitech. You sponsor that team. They're cunts. We're not going to put your logo on our T-shirts. We're not going to do any promotional work for you until you withdraw the money from Team B or give that manager a kick up the arse and make sure those players get paid. This is on you now. You're the people with the power. You're the people with the money. That's the sort of thing that should be happening. That's what collective bargaining should be used for. It never is. But here's the thing. Because Turner even entertained the idea of having like a go-to association for players. That was, again, one of the suggestions I made. I was like, would this be possible? They said, well, certainly give that some thought. I said, these players are going to be playing in an environment that they've never played in before. It could be potentially hostile to them. It could be difficult to them. But on top of that, just let's have an independent body, somebody who can listen to players' concerns, and then Turner can leverage the teams. Like, look, it's not a good look for us. We're going to be on TV. You got players crying their eyes out while they're trying to play because you owe them 10 grand and they can't make rent. It's not going to work. So if you want to get the money from us, you've got to fucking make right by them. And I honestly think that's the kind of conversation. Should it be necessary? And this is super limited and hardly is ever going to happen. But should those conversations be necessary, I trust the people in power, certainly over at Turner and certainly in general, as we move forward into this TV era, to do that. Because it's the players that are going to carry the broadcasts. The players are going to be the stars. Not necessarily the teams, not the managers, not the coaches, not the analysts, not anybody else. For once, it's going to be all about the players.
And if not, you can always write about it on Breitbart.
And of course, that's where Breitbart gets to come in. Anyway, look, Connor, wonderful call to end the show on. Thanks very much for calling in. I do believe you've called in before. I recognize your wonderful Celtic lilting voice.
Nigerian.
Sorry, and your Nigerian accent, of course. Yes, I believe you called me a few days ago, asking for my bank card number to see if it was lucky. And it wasn't. It wasn't for some reason. So anyway, you take care, and I certainly hope you'll call in again sometime.
You too, boys. Cheers. Thank you.
All the best. So there we go. I think at that point we've certainly ran this show on long enough, Sam.
Yep. 2.5 hours.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. It's as I said, the show goes on as long as it has to. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, good time with it. Got triggered in chat a bit triggered.
Why? I saw you typing a lot. Why
that guy DC'd is like, Sam, can you ever do anything right? I was like, triggered. You
Why
brought out
would
the
that trigger you?
unprofessional, mate. The word.
But why
the
would that
trigger
trigger you?
word.
Come
Why
on,
does
you
it
know
trigger
you're in
you,
it.
mate?
Well, no, okay. Look, listen. Obviously, unprofessional triggers me because I'm a model professional.
All right, mate.
But there is enough evidence now to say that you are, you know.
Yeah,
as
because the
producers
difference is
go
this
with
is a
it.
podcast where we talk about
Right.
Nigerian princes. like, there's a difference, mate.
Yeah, but do you remember right at the start of the show when I
That was
wanted to
you
pay?
again. You.
Why
We
was
went
that
through
me?
the
Why was that me?
rundown
Am I
because
pushing the
in
buttons?
the
Am I pushing the
rundown, mate, you were
Sam.
given a list to read.
Trash talk is a organic, living, breathing thing. You have to be able to feel it. Much like Charlie Sheen in a brothel, you have to be able to just sensually feel your way through it.
Right, mate.
And you weren't doing that, were you? So
Bad intro.
anyway, any final thoughts?
No.
No?
Get the fuck off the show, mate.
All right. Well, look, it's been good. We're gonna do I Hated It tomorrow, aren't we?
No, not doing it. No.
We're not doing it now. Okay.
No, I can't be honest.
So we've also got that new show that we were gonna have to do. It's
Don't have
called.
to do it now, mate. I've got the
It's
Patreon.
called
innit?
I'm Having a Tantrum. It's
Yeah.
called I'm Having a Tantrum. It's AKA Sam Cam.
That's never
Right?
coming.
I'm having a tantrum.
For anyone who wanted Sam Cam, it's not happening. If you want to know why, it's because of Alfred, right? So find Alfred and give him a bollocking. He's why it's
Yeah.
done. It's done, so mate. Fuck you,
And
Alfred. You've triggered me.
another idea for a show. You could just call it Photos of Richard's Arse.
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
What about that one? Good
Probably
show.
better than this one.
I disagree. People like this show. It's got a cult. It's got a cult following, and rightly so. So anyway,
Dick Almighty.
with that said, I think I will bid you a good night. I will bid all of our viewers a good night. Thanks to all of our callers. Thanks to all of the people who provide us with such entertainment, including all our social justice warrior friends and the lunatic Jeffrey Light Lynn, the man on a crusade to end naughtiness on the internet. We'll be back tomorrow with I Hate It Here. And until then, I'm going to be laughing to myself. Ha. See you next time.
Thank you.